Hey, good morning. It's Sue from Snake River Stamping. Thank you for joining me today for our card class. These classes are always free, and I have always some special offers for you. So thank you for joining me and taking your time today to spend a little time with me. I wanted to say happy birthday today to my friend Carrie. Carrie and I have been friends since kindergarten, which was like 65 years ago, so a really long time. So happy birthday, Carrie. I hope you're having a good day today. I know she spent the day yesterday with her grandkids doing lots of fun things, and today they have more things happening. I think her son's making her dinner tonight, so that was great. Um, my question today is, I try to think of something to ask you about. What kind of things do you use that are just around your home that you can use in crafting? So do you have any things that you just pull into your craft room that you can use for crafting? One of the things I was looking in my craft room today, because I have several things that belong in the kitchen for crafting. One of them is press and seal, is one of the things I have in here, because this helps me, because it's low tack and it's sticky, and when I'm making cards, I can place things on cards, cover it with the press and seal, lift them up, glue them, place them back down in the same exact spot. And I'll probably use that pretty soon in one of our card making classes and show you how I do that. But press and seal is super handy making cards. So what kind of things do you have around your house? You can leave me a message in the chat, either on Facebook or YouTube, and tell me what kind of things you use around your house, or from around your house to do your cards. I am going to turn you down for just a moment. Well, probably just longer than just a moment. And I don't think I'm going to be in the corner because my corner camera wasn't working earlier, so we'll see. No, still not working. Let me see if I do that. No. Not going to work today. Okay, so not going to get the corner camera today. All right, I wanted to remind you that this month I have 2 PDF files that are for sale. They're $6 a piece, or 2 for $10. To make these 2 cards, and they are extremely detailed PDFs. They have cutting instructions, supplies used, and pictures and everything in these PDFs to make these cards. This is one of them using some brand new paper, Floral Wishes, I think it is, and then with some little daisies and things. And this is a really cute little Z-fold card. And then this one is using Storybook Friends, which we're going to also use today, but a different card. And it describes everything in the PDFs on how to make them. Now, you can buy these from me. Just send me a message and buy them from me, or they also come free with my specials that I have running this month. So the first thing I wanted to remind you is our new annual catalog is coming out in May. This is our current catalog, the mini catalog that goes through the end of April. So the end of this month and then all of April. But if you would like a new annual catalog that's coming out, if you have placed an order, a $50 order with me, totaling $50 this year, your name is already on my list to send you a free catalog. Okay, but if you haven't ordered from me and you would like a free catalog, just place an order before the end of this month, and I'll put you on my list. I can only order catalogs to be mailed to you once for each quarter that we have catalogs. And so I can only place one order, and then it closes me off. So I need to do that. My time frame is the end of this month, the end of March. So if you would need to make that order by the end of the month to get and it's a big catalog. This is just a mini catalog, and the new one is a big catalog. So I'd like to remind you about my host code. If you use my host code, please. Host codes are going away in April, and you will get to be the host for every $20 of product that you order, and you can accumulate points with your host codes, and you can save them for up to a year. So you don't have to make like huge orders to get a lot of points. You can make several small orders and accumulate points. But through the end of March, we're still doing host codes unless you order $150. See, that's the threshold right now, is a $150 order. Then you become the host. And that was hard for a lot of people to reach, so they're changing it to $20, which is hugely different. And you will be your host, your own host, and start accumulating those host codes. So my ordering specials for March: $40 order before tax and shipping. You will get all the paper cut for 4 card kits, and these are the choices for the card kits this month. I used textured florals. You can use any floral. This is available right now. This set, textured florals, and as you can tell, it makes really pretty cards. And I will cut all the paper for you. I can't stamp and die cut all these little flowers. You have to have your own stamps, your own ink, and if you want dyes, your own dyes, or you can fussy cut, which means cut it with scissors. But I can cut all the paper for you and send that to you for free. I'll cut the arches. I'll even emboss these arches, which looks really cool. Another thing that I used up here is for the sentiments. Thought I had those. Yeah, there they are. I've been promoting these Greetings for All Mix and Match ephemera pack, and it's just all sentiments that you just pop out and put on. And then sometimes I stamped some sentiments, but then I did use some of these. Okay. So that's for my $40 order. Your $40 order, you get 4 free card kits. $50 order, you get those free card kits and a package of gems. $60 order, you get the 4 free card kits, the gems, and those 2 PDF files I just talked about for free. I'll send those to you. I'll email those to you, and you have to print them yourself. They have all the layouts, pictures, directions, everything you need to do that. If you do a $150 order, that's when you become the host. So don't put my host code in. Just it'll prompt you to use your own host code. They'll give it to you. They'll tell you what it is, and you start earning host rewards, Stampin' rewards for free product at that point in time. Let's see. My link for YouTube and everything is in my description. And you can always reach me at sue.turner.snakeriverstamping@gmail.com. I am going to get a better email address here pretty soon. We're working on that. And I have one more special this month. I have this beautiful paper pumpkin kit that I'm going to give to someone. and you get one ticket in the drawing for every $50 before tax and shipping that you spend to win this kit. And it has lots and lots of stuff in this kit. This is the March kit. Usually it comes with one set of stamps. This kit is their anniversary kit. So it comes with two sets of stamps. It comes with a Stampin' Spot. It comes with all of the stuff to make the cards, everything. All that you have to have is scissors, literally. They include dimensionals and glue dots and all this stuff to make the cards. And they're really pretty. They've got all these pretty daisies on them and little honeycombs and bees. And they have a bee stamp on here. It's really cute. Anyway, I'm giving this away. So if you would like to be in the drawing, you can just, any purchase of $50 or more gets you a ticket in the drawing. So if you ordered $100, you get 2 tickets in the drawing. Okay, this month, all right? Okay, so I think that is all of my announcements about my specials, my card kits, and the paper pumpkin drawing, all that stuff. So thank you. So today, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making these fun folds that look something like this. And they open to stand up like this. Okay, and you have a focal point. We have a little bendy part in here that holds the card open. It has a back part. Oh, I wanted to show you about this little bunny in just a minute. On the back, you put some more DSP so that when the card folds either one way or the other way, left or right, and then you have a focal point on the front. Okay. And it opens up, and then you write on the back. So that is what we're going to make today. So I chose a different color. We're going to use Storybook Friends. That's this set. And we're going to use this die. This Storybook Friends comes with the bundle. You always get 10% off on the bundle. When you order the stamps and the dies, you get 10% off. And we're going to use this frame today. And it also cuts out the bunnies and some other things, and it has these other pretty frames. Like I used this frame right here on this card. You can see how pretty that is. It cuts it out. And it has this frame. So this is the one we're going to use today, and I'll show you how that works. And we're going to use some stamps from this set today. So, got your measurements here. I always pick my DSP first, and then I pick my, then I can pick my cardstock. So I picked, this is from Storybook Friends, and I picked this DSP for my background. And let me give you all the measurements first. Maybe that would be helpful. The card base is 8.5 by 5.5. So it's a standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5. And you score it at 4 1/4 and 2 1/8. And that's how you get these flaps that we're going to trim off. Okay. So that's your card base, 8.5 by 5.5, score at 4 1/4 and 2 1/8. And I'm using Mossy Meadow, which is one of the colors in this DSP that I'm using. That's why I chose that. So then you need to cut some panels. and a little piece. You need to cut 3 DSP panels 2 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And they're all exactly the same. We are going to trim some. And then you need 1 light colored panel. And I used basic beige. Same size, 2 by 5 1/4. And this goes on the back. We're going to stamp on it, and this will be where you could write on it. And then you have you'll have a piece left, and so you just trim it down to 2 inches by 3 1/4, and it's going to go on the bottom of this panel down here, or no, it's going to go at the top. It's going to go at the top. Yeah, then there's a reason for it going to the top. Yes. Okay. So then the next piece you have is the folding mechanism that we're going to use to fold and put inside the card to make that centerpiece pop out. And I make it the same color as the card base. So I use Mossy Meadow, and it's 8 1/4 inches this way and 2 inches this way. So 2 by 8 1/4. And you need to score it at 2 1/8, 3 1/8, 5 1/8, and 6 1/8. And this is your pop-out panel. So I just used my cutting tool here, and I just started at 2 1/8, 3 1/8, 5 1/8, and then the last one was 6 1/8, and 6 1/8 on our cutting board is really kind of hard to see. So I just turned mine around, and I did another 2 1/8 because that's what this is. I just turned it around, and I did another 2 1/8 this way, because these two and these two are the same size, and then the middle one's different. So that's how I did it. So to start the card, just place the card open, because these two are going to be on the outside, because it's going to close like this with this thing in the middle holding it open. So I'm just going to lay it flat for a moment, and I'm going to take my DSPs that I've already cut, and of course they have pretty things on the back, you know, but I did already have, I had a couple pieces of this, so I already cut those apart for another card. And you just center them. Be sure not to hit the fold, because the fold needs to do its job where you scored. It needs to fold. So I center them top, bottom, side to side. And using glue usually works a little better for me when I might have to slip things around to make sure that they're at where I want them to be at. And I had a little bit of glue on my finger there. I'll wipe that off. It's going to be on the inside, so we're not going to see it. Okay. So these close like this. So then I measured 3/4 of an inch down pencil, pencil, pencil. 3/4 of an inch down on both sides at the top. And I am going to place this in my cutting. I'm going to place, it's really hard to see, but I have a pencil mark here, and I'm going to cut from the pencil mark to this score line. I'm going to cut a diagonal cut like that. And I'm going to cut a diagonal cut on this one. I'm placing this pencil mark in the cutting groove and the point where the score line is in the other, in the same cutting groove, and just slice that so that now I have these diagonals like that. Okay. Okay, on the back, on one side, I'm just going to put a piece of DSP, the same kind of DSP. I'm just going to put that on the back. So I'll just put some glue on. Put my DSP on. Then on this plain one, this is the basic beige one. It's the same size, and I used the Hello Friend and the little house stamp. I used Hello Friend, and then they have the little house stamp right here because I'm going to put a house on the front of this. So I wanted those to kind of coordinate. So this is where I'm going to write my message, and I do want to put this DSP, this little one that I cut before. I want to put that at the top. And this is so when the card is closed that this will show just like this does. And this is enough. This 3/4 of an inch is enough that when the card is closed, it will show through the top. And using that glue helped me wiggle that right into place. Okay, so when it's closed, you can see the other DSP, Designer Series paper, showing at the top. Okay, so now trying to get the glue off of my fingers. Okay, this piece that I cut and scored, this was 2 inches by 8 1/4 inches, and I scored it at 2 1/8, 3 1/8, 5 1/8, 6 1/8, but 6 1/8 is hard to see, so I just flipped it over and did another 2 1/8 on that one. So what I want to do is I want to make this kind of into a T shape, like this. Okay. I want to make it into a T shape. And I'm going to adhere this to the inside of the card, and it works better, or it worked better for me to use tape on this part, because glue works great, but sometimes you have to, when it's like a three-dimensional thing, you have to hold it until it is dried firmly. So I want this to hook to this side, and then I'll put this side on, and I want to hook it to the other side. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold this flat, and I'm gonna run like 3 pieces of Stampin' Seal Plus, the really strong stuff. And then I'm going to shut the card and press that down like that. Okay. So now I'm going to put some more Stampin' Seal Plus on this side, 3 rows of it. And now I'm going to shut the card this way, and this time I have to bend the front part that's going to hold my focal point. I have to just bend that so that it'll hold that. And then I get this popping out mechanism. See that? And how I taped it on the inside, right there and there. And now I can put my focal point right here. Okay. So what I have is I got another piece of Mossy Meadow, and this is 3 by 3.5 for the frame. And I cut the frame out of this. Okay. And I come up with my frame. And you have to do a little bit of poking the holes out. These things, some of them fall right out and some of them don't. And then what I want to go into the frame is I picked the designer series paper from Storybook Friends. And I picked one of the cottages, and I cut a 2 1/4 by 2 inch square, putting the cottage, I centered that, and then I just cut that. Okay. But I do want to make it a little smaller. Now I can put it behind here, but it does kind of show up a little bit behind these holes. And I didn't really want that. So I want it, if I want it to be the size of this hole, all I have to do is cut it with this. So I'm going to center this where I want it. And I'm going to use some repositionable tape or a sticky note, whatever I can find here. Maybe I'll use a sticky note. I'm going to put that on there to hold it. I'm going to put 2 on there because I really want to make sure it stays put. And I'm going to bring in my mini cut and emboss machine. And I'm just going to run this through, and I'm going to cut that cottage so that it fits in my frame that I've already cut. And I'm going to tape it on there. Okay, just hold that. Run it back through. Okay, and I think those sticky notes held that down pretty well. Who knows where my repositionable tape went today? Somewhere else. So then, so I have over here, I have some extra cottage, but I don't need this. I don't need this piece of the cottage because that's the part I wanted to cut out. Now I have this cottage that fits exactly in this frame, which is what I want. And I'm going to use some tape to fix it there. So I'm just going to turn this over. You see the little vegetables on the back. They're so pretty. And I'm just going to get some tiny pieces of tape. I'm going to use my sticky scissors to cut my tape. And put this on the top and the bottom and the sides. And now my picture fits in my frame perfectly. It's not showing through the holes. Like I didn't want it to show through the holes because I want those holes to show. And as you can see, I'm just cutting really small strips of tape to hold this in until I get it put on there. Okay. All right, so now it's on. It stays on. Just some clear tape on the back. And I've got my focal point. And I just used this die out of the set. So I'm going to put this on with some dimensionals, I believe. And I'm going to make sure, well, yeah, maybe that'll work. These basically need to be in the center more. I hope that's not too far to the side. I'm afraid that's too far to the side. Get rid of that one. I'm going to keep these in the center because this piece is not that big. Well, that's probably way too many dimensionals, but it's going to really be stuck on there. Okay, so I just bring this back in, and I'm going to push this down so I can center it like that. There we go. It's not hitting the rest of the card. Okay, so there we have our cute little cottage. It's framed, and I made a cute little tag to go on it that I can stick over here. I think I'm going to stick it on this so that it'll just pop up. I'm just going to put a little glue on there. Glue, glue, glue. Glue might not, there's too many holes. There's too many holes. I'm going to have to use dimensional. The glue is going to go through those holes and get on the back of the paper. So I'm just going to stick a dimensional right there. And this was from Greetings of the Season, which is also still available. These are the dies, and I used this one. And I used Easter Greetings out of the Storybook Friends for this. And these are like only 75% of the size of the actual. You can see how big the actual stamp is, much bigger than what's on the front, because they shrink these down to get them all on there, the size, so it's actually bigger, but it does fit on this die perfectly. And these dies are really cute. I love it because they all have holes in them, so you can put ribbon in them. So I just used some of the pink scalloped ribbon, which I've linked below, through the hole, and I tied it with a piece of, this is the ribbon, and I just used some of the baker's twine. I used white baker's twine, and I put the ribbon through the hole, and then I tied the twine around the ribbon to make it kind of flat, so it wouldn't be too much thickness on there. Okay, and that's our card. That's as easy as that. And I do have a little glue on this side, and I have a glue eraser. These things are really valuable to have because I got just a little bit of glue on here, and you can't see it, but it sticks to stuff, and I don't want it to do that. So I just use my glue eraser and get that off, and now it doesn't stick to stuff. This fits in an envelope. It's a really cute card. It stands for display really easily. And you can write your Easter greeting on the back. Put whatever Easter greeting you want. I put the little house because it kind of, or the cottage, because it goes with this cottage. I thought that looked pretty cute, and I wanted my DSP in the Storybook Friends. There's a lot of really busy DSP with little animals and stuff on it, and I've shown it to you before. But I wanted something that was kind of neutralish, so it wouldn't take away from the cottage, and it would just, you know, frame the cottage nicely. And one of the things I wanted to show you today with, for instance, this bunny. I was using Lost Lagoon on this one, and with this particular paper, which I'm going to show you in a minute, another example of that for next week. But when I was looking at the bunnies that they had to cut out, none of the bunnies had a jacket that was Lost Lagoon. They only had green and a boho blue jacket. And I really wanted my bunny to match the paper. So that means you need to stamp the bunny. So I stamped the bunny, and I did use black, Memento black, and I also stamped him in pecan pie, and I also stamped him in crumb cake. And as you can see, you know, the black's gonna show up the most, and the pecan pie, this one, is lighter, and then the crumb cake is even lighter. And what I used to color the bunnies were alcohol markers, okay? And I pulled out my Lost Lagoon for his jacket. I pulled out my pecan pie for the bunny. I pulled out sweet sorbet for, he's holding a little radish in his hand. And I pulled out Granny Apple Green to color some of this other stuff. Oh, and I used pumpkin pie too, because I cut out, this is from Spotlight on Nature, this circle. And I stamped, again, that same little cottage, and I did that in pecan pie. And then I stamped a couple of times. They have this really cute little mound of dirt with some little carrots coming out of it, which is, and I stamped that like twice so that he would have some ground to be walking on. And so I colored the bunny, and I colored a little bit of the background on this, but not a whole lot of it. I colored the bushes. I didn't really color the house at all. I'm not sure. I was thinking about that. But I definitely colored the bunny. And I was going to show you and just remind you that when you color things, that you always want to leave a little bit of white. You don't want to color everything in. I'm going to start like with dark pecan pie to outline him a little bit in this. And I'm just going to follow what the artist already did. Okay, so I have my dark pecan pie, and then I come in, because alcohol markers literally do blend. And I started blending. Now at first it's going to look really dark, but when it dries, it gets lighter. So I used the tip. This is the brush tip, and this is the bullet tip. So I used the bullet tip to do my outlining, and now I'm using my brush tip to do my coloring in. And I am definitely leaving some white spaces. Oh, I need to color his little paw a little bit. And his little paw there. And then I used my light sweet sorbet to color his little radish a little bit. And again, I left a little bit of white. Then I used the bullet tip on my Lost Lagoon. I colored his pockets, his patches on his arms, and I did some light outlining with the dark Lost Lagoon, and then I came in with the brush tip on the light Lost Lagoon, and I colored in some of his coat. Be sure to leave a little bit of white. I think I gave him Lost Lagoon eyes. I used a light pink. This is pretty in pink. I used a light pink for his ears a little bit, the bottom of his foot. And that's how I colored my bunny. Then I used the dye to cut him out. And that's how I would color the bunny. Is I don't color him in completely. I always leave a little bit of white. Oh, I forgot the green. For the leaves. I would color a little bit of green for the leaves. Yep. Just very lightly. But, you know, it depends on this was the pecan pie that I stamped. This is black. This is crumb cake. And you can see, you know, so what I wanted on this card was I wanted my bunny to have the same colored jacket, which was Lost Lagoon, that matched the background on my card. And then I went ahead and I colored the carrots with the pumpkin color, pumpkin pie. I used dark and light, and I used the Granny Apple Green to color the bushes, and I use a little pecan pie to color a little bit of the dirt. So that's how I do that when I want to color something to match what I'm doing on a card. And it's easier if you just stamp a few, color a few, pick the one you like, and that's the one you cut out with the dies, or if you're fussy cutting with your scissors. So that's how I did that. So I hope you like these examples of these cards today. These are a fun fold. Did I have a name? I think I had a name for these somewhere. Oh yes, I wanted to tell you that Rachel Tessman, I learned this fold on Rachel Tessman. She called it a decorative panel pop-out fun fold, a decorative panel fun fold. And her name is Rachel Tessman. Her channel is called Stamp Your Art Out. She has tons of good ideas. And I just thought this card just turned out so cute. And I know that it might be something that you would enjoy making for your Easter cards, or actually you could make it anything. You can make this happy birthday, whatever you wanted to do. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. Let me turn my camera back up. There we go. All right, so thank you for joining me today. Oh, I know, I wanted to show you next week. Next week we're going to do another fun fold. And we're going to make this fun fold into something for Easter. The examples I have right here that I just did earlier this morning are not real Easterish, but we're going to be making, it's always opposite, we're going to be making these sticky note holders, okay? They're three-dimensional, they stand up, they hold a little sticky pad, and you can make these, you know, as we're gonna decorate them for Easter when we make them next week, and I'll give you all the dimensions next Monday. And next Monday, I believe I have to do this at 9 o'clock instead of 11 next Monday because I have a doctor's appointment. So I'll be doing that early at 9 a.m. and I will try to remember to put that on my social media to remind you. I'll give you all the dimensions and I'll show you how to make these. They're super cute. I use 2 different kinds of paper on these. It's really cute. They stand up. Again, they hold the sticky notes. They flip right in there. You can it's got enough room. You could put a pen or a pencil in there too if you wanted to, or you could stick skinny candy in there. Who knows? You know, because we're going to make them for Easter, but they're really cute. So anyway, so come back next week and I'll show you how to make those fun folds. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your time. And if you don't have another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I would love for you to order from me. I've included all my information below. I always have some specials going on for things that you can get for free. And I love giving people free gifts and things that might help you in your craft room. So I'll see you next week. It'll be at 9 a.m. instead of 11. Okay? All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.